What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Just walked in the door. It's been 6 months I've been deployed, and yeah, finally back home, ready to get back to work. So we have a lot of stuff to do, not a whole lot of time to do it. I'm recording on the iPhone right now. Camera's charging because it was obviously dead. Haven't used it in 6 months. While I've been gone, my roommate Mark has been kind enough to bring in all the car parts and put them in my room as I've been coming in. So yeah, let's just say we got a fair share of parts here. Give you a little sneak peek. Yeah, so we pretty much have everything to get this hatch built. Waiting on a few more things to show up, but yeah, this is it for the most part. First things first, the Duramax has blown head gaskets, so I need to get the Duramax pulled back up to the garage door, get the heads pulled off that. Hopefully the block isn't rusted out. That's the big hope. But yeah, I have a full head gasket kit for the truck, and we'll get that done. So I'm gonna spend the rest of the day probably getting settled in, maybe get the truck up to the garage if I can get some help. But yeah, for the most part, just relax. It's been like 30 hours of flying. I'll pick up with you guys once we start getting to work, and we'll go from there. All right, we're back in the garage now. Apologize for the dog in the background. It never shuts up. It's the neighbor's dog. I don't know. We got this head gasket job to do on the truck. It's big job, like probably 40 hours, but I want to get a jump start on it tonight. We don't have much time. It's already almost 6 o'clock, so we're going to be losing daylight here pretty soon. But I can get some of the little stuff done. We'll drain the coolant, unhook the batteries, get the fan shroud off, maybe get the fan off. Just the little stuff that I can get to tonight. And then once I have a full day, we'll start tearing everything down to the head. So I have a little kiddie pool over there. I'm going to be using that because draining the coolant from this frickin' truck is a pain in the butt. There's no petcock on the radiator. I just pull the lower radiator hose off and it literally dumps everywhere. So kiddie pool is my choice. Let me get that under the truck. We'll start draining that out and we'll go from there. So while we let that drain out, I'm just gonna pull the battery connections off and then pull the fan shroud off, and then we can get to the fan. Last time I used an air hammer to pull that off. I have the tool right here, kind of stick the little chisel in that and beat it off. But this time, because I don't have a really big air compressor, we're gonna try an air hammer. If that doesn't work, I'll just take like a extension and kind of pound on it until we get that thing off. That might work just fine. This dog is pissing me off. If you look down here, I already got the tool on the fan. Stick the little chisel in there, and we should be able to spin her loose. This big plastic piece is loose, but you gotta take the fan out to get it out. For 15 bucks from Harbor Freight, that thing worked like a charm. So I'm gonna finish pulling this fan out. Okay, so we got the fan out of the way. Next, I'm just gonna start pulling off intercooler piping, intake piping, and kind of get some of the stuff off the top, and then we can work on serpentine belt and wiring harness, start pulling all that back.
Turn me up, Koopy.
Good morning, guys. It's a new day. Back on the Duramax. I just went ahead and pulled the serpentine belt off. I'm also working on pulling back the entire wiring harness. Now, one thing I do, if I don't know exactly what the plug's for, I'll give it like a random code. So this one I just put XY, and then the plug that plugs into that right here, I also labeled XY. Now, if I do know what it's for, like this one I know is the alternator, I'll just label it alt or whatever, something short, so I know where everything plugs back into. Right now, I'm just working on, like I said, pulling the wiring harness back. I'm probably going to go ahead and flip the AC compressor. There's a few bolts that hold this AC compressor on. Go ahead and flip this up onto the passenger side battery over there, and that'll get some stuff taken out of the way. Same with the alternator, we can take that off, just a few bolts that hold that on. And yeah, we're just pulling stuff off the top of the block. It's pretty simple. End goal is to be able to pull the heads off, so obviously everything needs to be pulled back. Intercooler piping, I'm gonna finish pulling that off in a second. once we get some of the wires out of the way. But yeah, that's what I'm working on now. I'll catch up with you guys once I get a little bit more of this pulled apart. Making some solid progress here on the Duramax. Just took the thermostat housing off, got the alternator off. AC compressor I just flipped on to the coolant overflow tank over there. Now I'm gonna work on taking these hoses out. Once again, I'm marking everything, so I'll mark these lines where they're supposed to go. That way when it all comes time to put it back together, we know where everything goes. Thermostat housing can come off. Filler tube I'll probably leave in for now. Don't really see a reason to take that out, I don't think. This whole bracket has to come off, I believe, to get to the heads. So it looks like a few nuts. Yeah, it looks just like a few nuts, maybe a few bolts at the bottom, and we should be able to slide this whole bracket off with the tensioner and the 2 idlers on it. And then, yeah, just continuing pulling back all the wiring harness, marking everything, and that's about it. Alright, this is going on technically like day 2. It's the first day we didn't really do much, but yeah, second day. I got a lot done yesterday. I know I kind of stopped recording a little short. I just really need to get this job done, so I went ahead and pulled pretty much everything off the top of the valve covers. We got the injectors pulled, and it's clearing out really nice in there. Yeah, let's have a look. So now looking down in the engine bay, as you can see, pretty much everything's pulled back, all the hard lines. I will say getting all the hard lines out of this little valley in the block behind the CP4 pump is a real pain in the butt. It's gonna be real fun figuring out how all this goes back together, but we'll get there. Now, the passenger side was a lot easier than the driver's side. A lot of tight areas on the driver's side. A few more things you gotta take off the side of the head. So this morning I'm gonna work on getting all the Allen bolts out of the valve cover, get the valve covers pulled off, pull the rockers, and then we should be able to pull the head as long as we can get all the head studs out. So I'm gonna start with the passenger side because like I said, that side is easier. There is a really hard Allen bolt to get to on the driver's side. I'll show you that when I get there. Let's focus on getting the passenger side off first and we'll go from there. These valve covers are a 2-piece design, so we only have to pull the main valve cover. So this one doesn't have to come off, we'll just pull this whole thing. And as you can see, we got a few 5mm Allen bolts all the way around it. There's a few down here, a few on the bottom, a few down the sides. Those all have to come off, and then we can pull that off, and it'll expose the rocker assembly. The driver's side, I'll show you right now actually. So if we look down through the wheel well, there is one Allen key there, and there's actually one a little bit higher. I'm not sure if you can pick up on that, but there is one a little bit higher. That's the one I'm looking at where I'm like, how the hell am I gonna get this out? We'll figure it out when the time comes. Let's focus on this passenger side. Let's get it pulled. We battled for a bit, but we got both the valve covers out. I'll show you the way I got the hard bolt out. I actually took this Allen key, which is like something that comes with like furniture or some stuff like that, put it in long ways, and then took a pair of pliers on the top and twisted it sideways, and that's how I got that tough one off. That's the only way I could figure it out. So now, looking back in the truck, we're gonna take these rocker assemblies out now. So the way you do this, you start, there's a line, 5 bolts. Start in the middle, do like a quarter turn, and then work your way out, quarter turn, work your way out, quarter turn at the end, and just keep going. Start back at the middle. The reason you do that, you don't want to bend anything in there, so take your time. Takes a little while, but once we get that out, we can pull out all the push rods, and then we can start doing head studs. just finished pulling all the rockers out. I also unbolted the up pipes from the back of the exhaust manifold. So all we have left now is head studs. I'm gonna grab a ratchet, breaker bar probably, start breaking some of them head studs loose, and I gotta find someone to help me pull these heads out because I really don't want to do it alone. So looking back here at the up pipe, there was 3 bolts that connect it to the exhaust manifold. You just gotta pull them out. This is the passenger side. This is a little bit more open and free than the driver's side was. Either way, with just a ratchet and some extensions, you should be able to get them free. There is a heat shield on the driver's side, but I figured out you don't need to take that off. Just yeah, get some extensions and you should be able to get those bolts out. It's starting to rain, so I'm gonna get these head studs loose and hopefully we can get these heads pulled today. All right, skipping ahead a little bit. I was kind of in a massive rush because the machine shop closed at 5. We just barely made it there. We did end up getting the heads out. Kind of a pain in the butt. Had 2 people use the engine crane to kind of help us out, but give you guys a look. We got a little bit of coolant in the cylinder walls, but they're not really rusted out. Should be good. As soon as we start it, it should knock off any surface rust that's in there. Now we just got to go ahead and prep the surface. Heads are going to take 2 to 3 days. Once we get them back and get everything reassembled, hopefully get this thing running. Having a look. This is the driver's side. This side wasn't too bad. Head gasket looked okay. You can see there's a little bit of coolant in the cylinders, but none of them are really too bad. This one I think was the worst. Let's see if I can get it to focus. Little bit of surface rust. It's really dark, so can't really see much. Apologize for that, but yeah, most of them appear to be okay. To the passenger side now. First 3 are pretty good, pretty dry, nothing too crazy. That one obviously has a lot of coolant in it, and you can see a little bit of surface rust around the side. So we can get that dried off. Maybe take a little wire brush or something. I don't know. I don't really want to take too much to it, but we'll definitely get it cleaned up a little bit before we slap the heads back on. This was the passenger side head gasket. You can see it's torn there, and then it's actually torn same spot on the other side, right there and right there. So I'm assuming that was our problem for sure. Tonight, probably just gonna, like I said, clean out the cylinder walls a little bit, maybe start prepping the top of the block, but we're gonna get it wrapped up, probably cling wrap or something over the top of it, make sure nothing gets in them holes. Hopefully it'll be 2 to 3 days for the machine shop to finish up. We're gonna get those things surfaced, pressure checked. We got new valve seals. A few little things they're gonna do to the heads, make sure we're putting in solid heads. Don't want to put it in and then have to take them back out. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm gonna wrap up this video here. Got the heads out, happy with that, and looking forward to reassembly when we get the heads back. I know this video was kind of chopped up a bit. Couldn't really record everything I was doing. We got the job done, and just a waiting game here. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out. See y'all later.